You're about to enjoy a Cloudcast original. Local stories, local storytellers, local brands.
Have you ever felt that you as a woman may not appear to measure up when you see incredible women in strong roles? You may be surprised when hearing from women in these positions and how we all share many of the same challenges. Thank you for joining us for the SheEO Lead-In podcast with Rebecca Jones as we share the journeys of women. Hello, I'm Natalie Jones, your host today of SheEO. We are on an exploration together to discover more about the personal journeys of incredible women in both career and life. We all have paths to share that sometimes take incredible turns, deep resilience, and courage to navigate. My hopes are that the challenges shared here encourage women to take leaps of faith and growth when a journey feels too difficult or unachievable. There is great strength deep within each one of us. These stories are meant to share the ways strong women have taken their dreams to strive and thrive to new heights despite their sometimes rocky paths and found a way to lead in. So today I'm with my mom, but Rebecca Jones, who's the mayor of San Marcos. Say hello.
Hello, it's great to be here with you.
So I already know about your position, but would you like to tell the listeners about what you do?
Absolutely. So I think everyone in politics starts out with an interest in what's going on in the city that they live in. And my path was no different than that. So I started out, I was an activist. The city was building something in the park near my home. And I had two little kids at that point in time. And I thought, well, maybe I should get involved. And so as I did a little bit of homework and found out what was happening, I decided that I would find another location for that use. And so after that, there were two other things. And I had two council members that were encouraging me to run for city council. And I thought, why would I want to do that? I have you doing that job. And so I was a little reluctant at first, but then after a while, Pia Harris-Ebert, she is a great friend of mine, and then Hal Martin, they both were telling me, and one a Democrat and one a Republican, saying, Rebecca, you would be great at this job, so why don't you get involved? And so in 2007, I applied for an appointment for the city council when Jim Desmond was elected as mayor. And so I served for 12 years as a council member, and then I was elected in 2018 as mayor, the first female mayor in San Marcos. And so I've been serving since 2018 as the mayor, but before that, 12 years on the city council.
I think that's cool because you started not based on just career, but you were actually interested in what was happening and you were passionate about that. I think that's important. So to start off, this is kind of weird because this is your podcast and I'm just joining. But to start off, what is a fun short story from your childhood that people may not know about you and maybe I don't know about you?
Well, there's a lot of stories that are kind of funny about me, but one of the things, when I was a kid, my dad used to take me to the park, and he would say, and I used to go by Becky when I was a kid, and he would say, Becky, I'm going to take you to the park, and you just go and you make some friends. And so he would take me to the park. I would walk up to people, other kids, and I would say, hey, let's play. And so from a pretty early on age, I knew that I could always find common ground with people. And I was very easy to get along with. I think part of that had to do with me being a middle child. But it was one of the things that I think really has helped me in life overall. Because I do like to get along with everyone. And I will stand up for what I believe in. But I do really have a true want and desire for people to do the best that they possibly can, whatever that is, and thrive in this world. And so I really do have that as always my goal, no matter what I'm doing.
Yeah, I definitely can see that. I think that you are very outgoing and very personable. And I think I actually get that from you too, because Dad's more quiet and laid back, and I feel like you're more outgoing and crazy in like a good way. And I think I definitely get that from you for sure. And I think that's a good trait because you can connect with all different kinds of people, especially in your line of work. Okay, what do you think is one word that would describe you best?
That's a tough one, but probably tenacious. So if someone tells me, oh, you can't do that. Oh, I don't think you can do that. That's too tough for you. I've always taken that as a challenge and thought, well, no, I'm going to do it because I'm pretty much can be unstoppable. I have to dig very deep sometimes to do all of the things that I want to do, but I'm a very hard worker. I learned that very early on, and I'm a survivor. So definitely tenacity. When I was a kid, my parents got divorced when I was 11, and my mom, I watched her. She really struggled for a while. But I watched her, she didn't have any skills when she and my dad divorced. And so she started cleaning homes, and she never gave up, though. And so I think the tenacity that I have was something that was both inside of me, but also something that I did learn watching her, because she never gave up. She was always trying to better herself. So she went from cleaning people's houses to being a hairdresser, and then she got her real estate license, and now she still is a real estate agent. And when I look at her, I always think, my mom never gave up. I know it was really hard for her. She had 3 kids when they got divorced, but she never gave up. And so I've always admired that about my mom. So I try to do that too.
Can you talk about a situation where your tenacity played an important role in your career? Like an example of something that you didn't give up on and you were tenacious about and it ended up working out.
Sure. There have been a lot of times, I think, in my life. So I started out as a real estate agent as an adult when I first got my real estate license, and I let that lapse in 2008 during my campaign. But I did that for quite a while. New home sales, different aspects of real estate. I originated loans for a while. I sold bank repos for a while. But really, I think when I came home one day when your brother, Grant, was just a little baby, I came home and your dad was at home, and he said that he had been laid off from his job. Well, actually, he was given an offer to have a pay cut or retire or resign. And so he decided to resign. And I said, well, what are we going to do? And he said, well, we're going to start our own business. And I thought, okay, well, what does that mean for me? And so he said, well, you're going to do all of the computer work. Mind you, at this time, it was about 1997, late 1997, I think. I didn't even know how to work a computer. So I remember when we first bought that computer, and we came home, I turned it on, and I thought, oh, geez, what am I doing? This is pretty scary. So I didn't give up, though, and I cold called. I went through the Consumer Electronics Show magazine, CES magazine, and I just kept being tenacious because I knew that we really needed to figure out how to get our business going. And so I kept at it, and our business grew from nothing into a pretty significant company. So I would say that's one of the times that I've really seen tenacity and, really extraordinary circumstances where I didn't know if it would actually work out, but it did. But there were times definitely when we had taken money out of our home where it could have failed or it could have gone the way that it did. And so luckily it did go well.
Yeah.
But you never know. It's one of those times you just think, okay, not sure what's going to happen here.
Yeah, I definitely admire that about you and Dad, but the fact that you guys did a new venture like that, a lot of people can't do that and they're very scared by that. And that's definitely why I'm studying entrepreneurship. So that's definitely something that I love about you guys and you as well. How do you measure your success?
Well, success is not always about money. And I know I often say this, but I don't make a lot of money in this job, but it's very rewarding because I'm making a difference. And one of the things pretty early on, actually it was before I was elected as mayor, but I had shown up to a park grand opening, and there were some young ladies that were from the Boys and Girls Club. And one of them said to me, they said, "Are you the mayor?" And I said, "Well, no, actually, I'm the vice mayor." And she said to me, she said, "Oh, I thought you were the mayor." She goes, "I really, I'm so excited to meet the mayor." And I said, "Well, I'm the vice mayor." and she was saying to me, and I said, "But I am running for mayor." It was during the election. And she said to me, she said, "Do you think that I could be the mayor someday?" And I said, "Yeah, I think absolutely you can." And so for me, being a role model and having other women look up to me that are younger than me, seeing that they can achieve things that maybe they don't think they can, because I certainly never thought that I would ever get elected as a mayor and representing my city the way that I do. It's such a privilege, but really having young women be inspired to try new things and things that are tough for them, that's probably the most rewarding for me. So it's not about the money. It's about
serving your community
and changing things, yes, and inspiring others to reach to new heights that they don't think they can.
So you talked about the Boys and Girls Club and how you like to serve the community. Are there other outlets that you're able to be a mentor to younger women?
Well, this is one of the ways, and it's so exciting starting this podcast because there are so many tremendous women that come from all different walks of life that have had all of these different stories that need to be shared, because I think as women, sometimes we don't believe in ourselves. If you look around, we have so many things. We're very hard on ourselves, for one, and we're always comparing ourselves to other women. And I believe that sharing stories like we have been during this podcast, and honestly, it's such a pleasure to do this with you, Natalie. It's something we've never done before, work together. But it's really such a privilege to help other women, inspire other women. And, even men, to be honest, because there are men that follow the podcast that have sent me messages saying, "I really love what you're doing, and it's very cool that you're doing that with your daughter." So, it's pretty exciting. I really enjoy that part of what we're doing.
Mm-hmm. Your career is obviously a big part of your life, but how do you balance your personal life and your career life? Because I remember, I mean, I obviously don't remember because I was a baby, but I remember stories of you telling me how I was in your, I think front carrier or something for a baby, or I was on your
backpack
at city council meetings and stuff. So how do you balance your personal and career life?
Well, sometimes I haven't always done the best job. I definitely try, but definitely there are moments where I look back and I think, wow, I could have probably done that a little bit better. But as you know about me, when I'm into something, I want to be 100% in. I don't want to have one foot in the door and one foot out. So, it's sometimes can be challenging, but for sure, I used to take you and Grant everywhere with me. I would always show up to planning commission meetings, city council meetings with the stroller. And you generally, when you were little, definitely in the backpack. I still have planning commissioners from way back then in the early 2000s when you were little say, "I remember your little daughter. I can't believe she's doing the podcast with you," because I remember her on your back in that little backpack that you used to always have with you. So it's balancing things are tough. You really have to work at it. And I haven't always met that. And one of the things that I have learned is I've got to give myself a little bit of grace, because it's not possible to be everything to everyone. But trying to balance things, you can be successful. It just takes a lot of work. And the younger you are, the easier it is. As you get a little bit older, it gets more difficult.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. I met a woman and she told me that there's nothing more powerful than a working woman. And I think that's a really cool quote that she said, because I think it's really true. I think that working mothers are more men are determined as well, but I think there's a different nature to it when you're providing for your children. And I think that it was really cool that Grant and I were around all of that, because I remember like running around the city council, like, and running around the San Marcos like city center. That was some of my like best memories. But we got to meet a lot of cool people too. So I think it's cool for the kids to experience it, and it's just really awesome.
Well, I think it exposes you to a lot more people, too, that you might not normally meet. One of my favorite things, and believe it or not, about being an elected official is campaigning and not knowing. You go to knock on a door, who you're going to meet, but it's not normally someone that is within your normal circle of friends. And so getting that feedback from whatever they have to say, they might like you, they might not like you. That's one of the things about politics that I've learned is you're not going to make everyone happy. But if you are, if you're staying true to your principles, making sure that you always care about the city first before politics, which I really think I've been very successful at that. I think you can't lose. And really getting that feedback from a lot of different people. And, again, back to exposing you to a lot of different things. I think it only helps you be a better person because you're hearing a lot of different perspectives.
My next question is about resistance when leading men, or just resistance in your career. I remember when we were younger, you had a negative campaign run against you. And I remember that you handled it like gracefully, and they had signs that were like anti Rebecca Jones, but then we waved signs that said like San Marcos loves Rebecca Jones. So how do you deal with negativity or just resistance against you in your career?
Well, there's always going to be resistance. And truthfully, I try to always remain positive no matter what. And I think that as a middle child, and again, back to, my parents getting divorced at such a young age for me, an impactful age, being that I was 11, I think one of the things that I do best is remain positive, and I try to find the bright side in any difficult situation. And you know what? You're not going to make everyone happy. That is truthful. But also remembering that if you're doing your job, there are always going to be people that don't want you to do well at your job because people want to judge, but not everyone's that way. And so, even like during COVID, I would say 90% of the messages that I get are extremely positive. People like my positivity. There are some people that don't like my positivity, and I just think, okay, well, hurting people try to hurt others, and so I just kind of try to leave it there. But, again, politics can be very, very ugly at times, and it gets very personal. People want to smash you down and destroy you. I really try to always remember that I'm here to do a job, and I can't let it hurt my feelings, because if it hurts my feelings, then I can no longer be effective. And that's not why I'm here. I'm here to make sure that my community is the best that it can possibly be, and serve people the best that I possibly can.
Okay, my next question has to do with you being one of the first females on the city council. And I remember when you first joined, were you the only one?
I was the only woman.
Okay, that's what I thought. Yeah, when you first joined, you were the only female on the city council. So as a female leader, what has been the most significant barrier in your career?
Well, I think it's a barrier, but it's also good. And a lot of times I think I've been underestimated, because people think, well, maybe she's not prepared. Maybe she doesn't think, or maybe she doesn't know what's going on. I'm always prepared. One of my mentors, P.A. Harris Ebert, she was the first woman ever elected to San Marcos City Council. She served for 24 years, I think, or maybe it was 26 years, a very long time. And I always thought that she would be the first female mayor, but it actually ended up being me. But she always encouraged me to do what I was always doing, and that was I always did my homework. She used to call me Nancy Drew, which I thought was funny. But she always said, keep doing what you're doing, because you're always well prepared. You always know what's going on. And it shows, and it's appreciated. And I think that's one of the reasons that I was elected as mayor, because I've always been very prepared. But I've always looked at both sides of every single issue. I'm not hyper political. I'm not into the partisanship. And I think that has been very successful. And again, yes, I was the only woman at the time when I was first joined the council in 2007. However, now, fast forward to 2021, there are 3 women on the city council, which is kind of interesting because now we have a majority. So we have the first woman mayor, and then we have Mayor Pro Tem Jenkins, and then also Councilmember Maria Nunez.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, the times are definitely changing. I think that as I've gotten older, and obviously as you've gotten older, you've probably seen there's a huge difference in the amount of women that are in leadership positions. And what would you give advice, like, for younger women that are wanting to become, like, a leader in these positions? Like, what lessons have you learned that you think would be helpful for these younger women, or women my age? Because I'm only 20. Like, what would you tell us?
Well, one of the things that I would tell you is that you always should try things that maybe aren't comfortable for you. Not everyone knows this, but I'm going to share this today. When I first joined the city council, I was terrified of public speaking. I was so uncomfortable doing it. I didn't want to do it, but it was part of the job. So I figured out how to deal with that. And that is continuously going out of my comfort zone and doing it, and it gets easier with time. And really remembering that if you just stay focused, like you're having a conversation with people, your authenticity shines through, and knowing your subject content is very important. And so when you're prepared, it's very easy to have these conversations and do things that maybe are outside of your comfort zone. So I tell all young people that I speak to, try something that's a little tough, nothing that's not safe, but things that feel really hard for you. And, you can really achieve and break out of things and break through things that are tough for you. So I guess my advice would be try new things, always push forward, and remember who you are, and never, ever change who you are, as far as always make sure, well, for me, I like my heart to be in all of my decisions, and really looking out for me, I always look at the big picture, and I make my decisions based on the big picture of the community, not just one group, but everyone.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. I think that it's really important to try new things and work hard at them. And I like to do things that are a little unsafe sometimes, but that's just me.
Okay.
Like jumping off of cliffs.
Oh, geez.
Okay. Why do you think your journey chose you? Or do you think your journey chose you?
Well, that's an interesting thing because I'm a Christian, and I often say that God chose me to do this. I don't know why. I sometimes feel like I don't know how I'm equipped to do this, but somehow, some way, I always know what to do and what to say because, again, I do know my subject matter, but I do believe that I was chosen for this job because I never forget where I came from. And I also never forget that my heart needs to be in all of my decisions. Again, because I want the best for a collective community, not just one person. And I don't ever make a decision about what I personally want. I think about the community and what would be best for the community as a whole, and try to make my decisions always based on the entire community. And it's a right around 100,000 people now in San Marcos. So how can I best serve them?
All right. What's next for you? I mean, we're working on SheEO together. What do you want to come out of SheEO?
I love SheEO. I love the opportunity of meeting all of these wonderful women that are in all of these different businesses and their journeys. And a lot of them have gone through a lot of crazy things. We have so many different opportunities that have opened. We're talking about, the summer camp, and how can we reach young women and inspire them to go outside of their comfort zone and achieve amazing things? it's incredible. And, I wouldn't have had that opportunity had I not been elected as mayor. So I don't think mayor is the end for me. I think the doors that have opened because of that are really where this is going to lead. And I don't know where it's going to be. But I'm really excited about the journey. And where I end up, I'm not sure. I can't wait to see how this shapes for you and I, and how we can reach more younger women to try new things. And again, try to do jobs that really are fulfilling and that they're passionate about. Because, when you're doing a job that you really believe in and that you're passionate about, there is no stopping you. And you can achieve crazy things. I've even had people say, well, maybe you should run for Congress, or maybe you should run for governor. And I think, well, I don't know about that. But to be honest, I believe that my journey will continue to set me in the right direction, and opportunity will fall in my lap.
Yeah. Well, I am also very excited about SheEO. I think it's been a very cool thing to be a part of. I think that as a younger person, I'm only 20 years old. I'm turning 21 soon. So for me, it's been cool to meet all these people. And I know that it's affected me. So I can only imagine like other people my age or even older than me or younger than me listening to this, how it could be so helpful and to learn and just meet these people. So I'm excited to see what you do next. Your journey can go lots of places.
I think endlessly. Exactly. And, kind of talking about the younger women and inspiration, I've had a few people message me that have said, today I listened and it was exactly what I needed. And it's really inspired me. And I'm talking about men and women. And, I think that's really important because, again, back to, we talked a little bit about it earlier, success. And success is not always about money. Success can be so many different things. For me, I've always had a servant's heart. That's one of my top gifts, is serving others. And I never forget that, doing everything that I do, whether I'm involved with the podcast or whether I'm serving the citizens of San Marcos as mayor or the next thing that I do. I think it's always important to be positive and to serve people and figure out how to help them achieve their highest potential.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I'm glad I got to be today's host. Hopefully you do it again.
It's interesting being on that side, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very different. But, well, thank you for joining me. And I'm glad I got to hear more about your story. There were things that I didn't even know, so that was pretty awesome.
It's interesting. And one of the things I always tell people, too, is leadership is not about just talking, but it's also about listening. And I think working with you on this level has been definitely different, but I've definitely enjoyed it, too. And just being able to talk about who I am and why I do what I do is important. And I hope other people are inspired by it.
Now that was powerful. We hope you've been lifted and encouraged by today's inspiring voice. Always remember that life doesn't look exactly the same for each one of us. Never stop dreaming, striving, and thriving. In future episodes, we look forward to bringing you powerful stories from amazing women who learn how to lead in to challenges. Thank you for listening and being part of our community with SheEO host, Rebecca Jones.
You have been listening to a Cloudcast original. Local stories, local storytellers, local brands. Find more stories at cloudcast.us.